Hello students, I am Arpita Rai, lecturer in Civil Engineering at Government Polytechnic Jaspur. Today I will take the second class on the last chapter, that is dams, of the subject Hydraulics and Irrigation Engineering. After end of this lecture session, you will be able to know the definition of gravity dam, the component of gravity dam, the forces acting on gravity dam, the modes of failure of gravity dam, and the precautions against the failure of gravity dam. Firstly, what is a gravity dam? So you all know that gravitational force or gravitational pull is the region that causes all the objects to have weight. So the word gravity is associated with weight. So from this concept we can define what is a gravity dam. So gravity dam is an engineering structure that resists all the forces acting on it due to its own weight. Okay, so the self weight is the stabilizing or the resisting force that will resist all the external forces acting on it. For the good rocky foundation must be available to bear the enormous weight of gravity dam. So for the construction of gravity dam, there should be a very strong and sound foundation of rock strata to bear the heavy weight of the gravity dam. Otherwise, the foundation may sink under the enormous weight of the gravity dam. Now come to the classification of the gravity dam. So it is classified based upon the material of construction, that is the material which are used for the construction, as concrete dam or masonry dam. In concrete dam, only concrete is used for the construction. You can see this is the concrete dam, this is the water reservoir, water storage reservoir formed, that is the upstream side, and this is the downstream side. And second type is the masonry dam, that is made up of rubble stone masonry. Okay, they are joined, this rough and uneven stones are set by the help of mortar. So here stone masonry is used for the construction. This is the example of your masonry dam. Then this is an example of your gravity dam in India, that is Bhakra Dam, which is present in the Himachal Pradesh state of India across the river Satluj. It has a height of about 226 meters. So this is the highest concrete gravity dam in Asia and is the second highest in the world. So this is an example of your concrete gravity dam. Then let's come to the components of gravity dam. So this is a cross section that shows the gravity dam. So you know that this is the water reservoir side, that is the upstream side of the dam, and this is the downstream side. So these are the components. Let's start with the topmost component, at the crest. So crest is the top of the dam. So top part of the dam is called as the crest. So this is the crest. So it is provided to provide a roadway over the top of the dam for vehicular movement, that can be used for communication purpose, or that can be used by the dam officials for inspection and for checking operations. So basically it provides a road on the top of the dam. Then come to freeboard. You already know what is freeboard. So freeboard is a space between the highest level of water in the reservoir and the top of the dam. So basically we provide a safety margin, okay, to prevent the overtopping of the water. So what does that mean? So generally in normal condition, the maximum level up to which the water can rise in the dam is the normal pool level under normal conditions, but under worst condition like in flood or due to heavy waves, the water may rise above that level also. So the dam is not constructed up to this level, but the height is extended beyond that. That is, we provide a safety margin, that is, we give freeboard to prevent the overtopping of the water over the crest. Then come to next component, that is heel. Heel is the portion of the dam in contact with the ground in the upstream side. This is heel. Toe is the part of the dam in contact with the ground in the downstream side. Just like we have our heel and toe. Just amar jemti padare goithi aw amar anguti thai. So semiti dam ro bhi heel aw toe thai, and we have to very important to know that which is present in upstream and downstream side, because I'll be using this frequently in the coming slides. Okay. Then sluiceway. Sluiceway is the opening in the dam which is provided near the base for clearing the silt accumulation in the dam. So along with clear water, silt may also come from the come in the upstream side. So mattiya pani kichi asipare, that due to sedimentation it will settle down. So when it settle down, water level may rise, so we have to remove the silt also. That is done by openings which are provided. Okay, this dotted line shows the sluiceway. So openings are there and gates are provided to remove the silt from the dam. Then come to spillway. Spillway is the structure to discharge the excess water or the surplus water from this reservoir side to the downstream side. This is another section of this chapter I will be teaching in the next lecture sessions. Then drainage gallery, the most important component. So this is a small tunnel like passageway within the dam. So gote small tunnel or a passageway, sudanga parike gote passageway thai. This is the cross section I have shown here. So how does it look like? See, So this is a drainage gallery. So this is tunnel जो तमर पूरे length throughout the length जाइत है. So the question is why this drainage galleries are provided. It is provided for many purposes, but mostly for two main purposes. One is for inspection purpose. Okay, so the dam officials, some engineers and experts can move through this passageway and they can see that whether the specifications of dam are okay or not, whether there is any repair work required or not, whether some cracks are there in the dam walls on the floors of the dam. So for inspection purpose it is used. You can see in this picture. So this is used for inspection purpose. And the second most important purpose for which it is used to reduce the uplift pressure. Now what is uplift pressure? Uplift pressure is the upward pressure that is exerted due to the seeping water. Okay, so water may seep through the pores and cracks of the foundation. I've already explained this concept also in my first class. Okay, so water may seep. किसी फाटो थिले तो पानी से seep करिकी तो upward pressure दिए to the base of the dam. So that is acting in the upward direction. But we know that weight of the gravity dam is acting in downward direction. So it is acting. So net effective weight will be reduced because of that. So it is acting against the stability of the gravity dam. So we need to reduce this. So how can you reduce by the help of gravity? By the help of drainage gallery. So generally you provide drain holes which are drilled in the floor of the foundation that is used to drain the seepage water. So you can see in this picture, so this is a drain hole which is draining out the seepage water. So we can reduce the uplift pressure by this drainage gallery. Now let's see what are the forces acting on the gravity there. So there are several forces acting. Self weight, that is the internal force, okay, that resists all the external forces acting, the self weight. Apart from that, the external forces, water pressure, uplift pressure, seismic force or earthquake force, silt pressure and other pressures, I'll be discussing each one by one. So first of all, weight of the dam. So I already told you that weight is the stabilizing or resisting force that counteract all the external forces acting on the gravity dam. Now the question is how to calculate the weight of the dam. Okay, so we know the material which is used for the construction of gravity dam, either concrete or stone masonry. So since we know the materials, we know the mechanical properties also, we know their specific weight. So specific weight is weight by volume. So simply if we multiply specific weight with volume, we will get the weight. It's very simple. So what we do is that, so weight is gamma m, that is specific weight of the dam material into volume. Okay, so you can see this is the cross section of the dam. So I have not shown the length, okay, but for design purpose we consider unit length of the dam. That means you can see the top crest. Okay, I have not shown the length, that is extended. The length we take for calculation for two-dimensional analysis, we go for unit length. So instead of volume we can write area into length, but for design purpose we take length as 1. So we can write the W is equal to gamma m into area. So that is the formula which we can use to find the weight of the dam. Now the cross section is divided into different sections. You can see here 2 triangles and 1 rectangle is there. So we have to multiply the area of each section with the gamma m, and total weight can be calculated by adding the individual weight. And this total weight will act at the CG of the section. Now let's see the next pressure. Water pressure is the measured external force. Okay, so it's coming from outside the body of the dam. So water pressure is the measured external force. Now how to calculate water pressure? So this can be calculated by hydrostatic pressure distribution. So you already know this, you have studied in this subject only in your fluid mechanics part. Okay, so according to the hydrostatic law, the pressure intensity of water increases with the increase in depth of water. So this hydrostatic pressure distribution triangle is triangular in shape. So you can see the intensity of pressure is 0 at the water surface and it increases and becomes gamma WH at the base. Okay, so now how to calculate the total water pressure? Simply by finding the area of this hydrostatic pressure triangle, that is half base into height, half gamma WH into H. So that is half gamma WH square. It will act at the centroid, that is at H by 3 from the base or 2H by 3 from the top. Now in second case, that is when the upstream face is inclined. So if this upstream face is inclined, then the water pressure will have 2 components. One is a horizontal component and another is a vertical component. Horizontal component will be same, that is here I have already told you, but apart from that there will be also a vertical component, that is due to the weight of the water which is supported over this sloping area. So you need to find the columns area and you have to multiply with gamma W, that is unit weight of water, you already know. Okay, so this is about water pressure. Then come to uplift pressure. I was just talking about this uplift pressure while discussing about the drainage gallery. So this uplift pressure acts in upward direction due to the seepage water, okay, through the pores and cracks. So this will reduce the downward weight. So it is acting against the stability of the dam, so we need to reduce it. There are many methods by which you can reduce, but mostly we use drainage galleries to reduce the uplift pressure. Now what is the amount of this uplift pressure? So according to the recommendation by USBR, that is United States Bureau of Reclamation, so this is the pressure diagram for the uplift pressure. Okay, so the pressure intensity is same as hydrostatic pressure intensity at the heel and toe. There is gamma WH and gamma WH dash joined by a straight line. To find out the total uplift pressure, we have to find the area of this trapezoid. Okay. Then when drainage gallery is provided, that is, this is the case without drainage gallery. When drainage gallery will be provided, the uplift pressure will reduce, I have told. So at the face of the drainage gallery, the intensity of pressure is same as the hydrostatic pressure at the toe plus 1/3 the hydrostatic pressure intensity difference of the heel and toe. That is gamma WH dash plus 1/3 gamma WH minus gamma WH dash. So this is how the pressure intensity reduces by providing drainage gallery. Then earthquake or seismic force. So we know that if the dam will be constructed in an area which is prone or which is susceptible to earthquake, then we have to consider earthquake force also. And during earthquake, the seismic wave can shake or can vibrate the earth on which the dam is resting in any direction. That means it will impart a acceleration to the foundation in any direction. But for the design purpose, we resolve it into two components. One is horizontal and another is vertical component. So let's see what is the effect of both. So due to vertical acceleration, so a vertical acceleration may be in upward direction or may be in downward direction. And due to vertical acceleration, there will be an inertial force. You already know what is inertia. From mechanics, you must be knowing. So inertial force is the physical force, okay, that will try to keep the object in its own state, either state of rest or state of motion. It will try to keep the object as it was before. So what does that mean? It means that the force will have a direction opposite to the direction of acceleration. Okay, so what is the magnitude of this force? Simply mass into acceleration. So mass is weight by g and alpha v, that is the acceleration, vertical acceleration. Now what is the value of alpha v? It is kv into g. Kv is the coefficient of traction that is adapted for vertical acceleration, that varies from 0.1 to 0.3 g depending upon the severity of earthquake in that area. Now see, now if the acceleration is in upward direction, so what does that mean? When the acceleration is upward direction, the foundation will move up, that is closer to the body of the dam. The net effective weight of the dam will increase. But when the acceleration is acting in downward direction, this will move away from the body of the dam, so the net weight of the body is decreasing. Okay, so what exactly that means? Okay, so if the weight is decreasing, okay, so W minus inertial force, it is decreasing W if you take common 1 minus kV. So the weight is decreasing by 1 minus of kV times when the acceleration is acting in downward direction. That is the critical condition, because weight is decreasing. The stabilizing force is decreasing in that case. So we have to consider this factor while designing of a gravity dam. So what does that mean? Let's see. See, this is a cross section of a gravity dam. Your weight was acting. Okay, so when acceleration will be in downward direction, so I've told you the inertial force will act in opposite direction, so it will act in the upward direction. So net weight in the downward direction will be W minus inertial force. Okay, then let's see what is the effect of horizontal acceleration. Due to horizontal acceleration, there will be two forces, that is horizontal inertial force and hydrodynamic pressure. So same as that of vertical inertial force, so horizontal inertial force, but it will act in the horizontal direction and it will be in the direction opposite to the direction of acceleration, and the magnitude will be same, mass into acceleration, W by g into alpha h. So alpha h is also kh into g. Kh is a coefficient or is a fraction of acceleration due to gravity. So next one is hydrodynamic pressure. Due to horizontal acceleration, the water pressure also increases momentarily because of its inertia. Okay, the water will also try to provide resistance against the motion of the any motion against the body of the dam and the foundation. So that extra pressure on the water is called as hydrodynamic pressure, and the value is given according to von Karman, that is 0.555 kh gamma W h square. It acts at a height of 4 by 3 pi h from the base, and the pressure distribution diagram is as such. If the acceleration will be in opposite direction, then this distribution will be in the tail side, that is in the downward side. Okay. Now next is the silt pressure. So due to deposition of the silt, okay, that comes along with water from the catchment areas, okay, so that will also exert a force on the gravity dam. So the value is given according to Rankine's formula. This half gamma submerged S square Ka, which is well known formula you have studied in geotech engineering also. So Ka is the coefficient of active earth pressure, that is 1 minus sin phi by 1 plus sin phi. Phi is the angle of internal friction of the soil, and gamma submerged is the submerged unit weight of water, silt, because silt is being submerged inside the water, so we take submerged weight of the silt. Now the second case is when the face will be inclined, then there will be two components of the silt pressure, horizontal and vertical. So horizontal pressure will be same, that is your this value, and that acts at the centroid, that h by 3 from the base. Apart from that, there will be a vertical component that will be nothing but the weight of the silt which is supported in this sloping area. Then come to wave pressure. Due to high blowing winds or due to any other reason, waves may form in the water also. That ढेउ तुम्हारा form हुए, that will also exert a pressure upstream side तुम्हारा pressure पक्का है, and that will depend upon the height of the wave. So height of the wave is nothing but from the crest to the trough of the wave. So this is the height. So that height, how to find out the height, that is given by Molitor. So Molitors have given two formula for f is less than 32, f is greater than 32. Now what is f? F is the fetch or the straight length of water in kilometers. So this length, okay, कितने पर्यंत हमारा straight length अच्छी water, so that is f. If f is less than 32, this formula is used, and if f is greater than 32, the formula used is 0.032 root over of vf. V is the velocity of wind in kilometer per hour, and f is the fetch in kilometer. So once we know the height of the wave, then we can find the total wave pressure, that is 2 gamma w hw square. So you can see this red arrow mark. Okay, this is the total wave pressure that is acting at 3 hw by 8 from the surface of the reservoir water. Then come to ice pressure. So ice pressure will be counted only in those countries where ice may form in the reservoir side, wherever ice will be formed. In India, generally ice do not form in water reservoirs. Okay, so if ice is formed, then what happens? Ice melts and expands. During expansion, it will exert a pressure or thrust on the face of the dam coming in contact with it. Okay, so the pressure intensity taken is 250 to 1500 kilonewton per meter square, depending upon the temperature variation. On an average 500 kilonewton per meter square is taken. Then come to the next pressure, that is wind pressure. So it is the most minor pressure acting on the gravity dam on the exposed surface. The surface which is not covered by water, on that wind pressure may act, and that is very less as compared to other pressures, other forces, that is only 1 to 1.5 kilonewton per meter square. Now this is the picture which shows all the forces acting on the gravity dam. Now let's see what are the modes of failure of the gravity dam. There are 4 modes of failure, that is by overturning or rotation about the toe, by crushing or compression, by tension failure or cracking, by sliding or shear failure. First of all, overturning failure. So what does overturning means? Means rotation about the toe when the reservoir full condition. जदि पानी reservoir रे पानी अच्छी पूरा सेत्ता बड़े तमरा जब dam टा rotate कर जिबा about the toe. You can see this motion. So this is called as overturning failure. Okay, overturning mode of failure. So dam may fail by overturning at the toe when the overturning moment due to the total horizontal forces are greater than the restoring moment due to the vertical forces. Now what does that mean? I'll just show you. This is the okay, so this is the gravity cross section of a gravity dam. So during reservoir full condition, man, हम गोटे case लो जितने पानी अच्छी reservoir है. Okay, there are other cases also, empty case भी था. I will talk about only this reservoir full case. So what happens? So all the horizontal forces are acting towards the toe. Okay, so if we reserve some silt pressure, earthquake pressure, all are acting towards the downstream side. So if we reserve, and vertical forces are also acting. So if we resolve all the forces into 2 components, that is total horizontal force and total vertical force. Okay, then you can see that this horizontal force will try to rotate to create a moment about this toe, okay, in this direction, in clockwise direction. That means what? It is trying to cause the overturning failure. So if the vertical forces, okay, are enough to cause the rotation in anti-clockwise direction to prevent this overturning, then we can prevent the overturning failure. So we have to provide proper factor of safety. So what is factor of safety here? So restoring moment. Who is providing restoring moment? The vertical forces. So restoring moments by overturning moment should be between 2 or 3, and in no cases it should be less than 1.5. So this is the condition to prevent overturning failure. Then let's come to the next, that is crushing failure. So crushing failure means compression failure. Okay, dam will fail by crushing when the compressive forces due to the external forces is more than its inner compressive strength or crushing strength. Okay, what does that mean? For example, this is a chalk. If I apply compressive stresses which is more than is resisting compressive strength, it will be crushed. माने एटा तमर गुंडा हिजो पाउडर परके हिजो. So that depends upon its own compressive strength. Okay. Now what does that mean? So I will since in your syllabus there is no mathematical analysis, mathematical derivation, or your stability analysis, design of gravity dam is not there. So but for a better understanding of this theory, I'll just explain this equation. So see. So this is the vertical stress distribution at the base. Okay, so this is given by direct stress plus bending stress. So now see, in this diagram you can see. So if we resolve these components, okay, so into a resultant R. Okay, so that the position of the R can be anywhere. Okay, that it can be anywhere, but it depends upon the horizontal and vertical forces. So that can be towards the toe, but it will be inclined towards the toe. That means that the toe will be subjected to huge compression. Okay, when it will be subjected to compression, then the other end will be lifted up, or it is subjected to tension in case of reservoir full case. So therefore so there will be positive, negative. Okay, so there will be tension at the heel side and compression at the toe side. Okay, so what we have to see, the equation is given here. So direct stress per plus bending stress. So direct stress is F force by area, and bending stress from simple bending equation, you know, my by I. So substituting the value delta V B into 1. B means your width, and 1 because length we are taking 1. So we have to substitute the value, we'll get this equation. Okay, by considering this we can see whether compression failure will occur or not. Okay, so apart from that we have to see that there should not be tension anywhere. We know that concrete is weak in tension. So whenever there will be tension, it will fail in then there will be cracking in the heel portion, so that portion will act as a separate portion, and the width will also decrease, so failure will occur. So we have to prevent this tension failure. How can you prevent? So just I was explaining, if we make this if we make this P minimum, okay, that is tensile stresses, as 0 or as positive, then we can prevent tension failure. So what is telling? So P minimum should be greater than equal to 0. So we get E is less than equal to B by 6. Now what is E? E is nothing but your E is the eccentricity. So the resultant force is acting at an eccentricity from the base. So E should be B by 6. That means on both the side of the center it should be B by 6. So what does that statement means? That is called as middle third rule. When the resultant will be anywhere in the middle third portion of the dam, then we can prevent the tension failure. Okay, this is about the middle third rule. Then come to sliding failure. The sliding failure occurs when the net horizontal force at any plane is greater than the frictional resistance. When sliding occurs between two surfaces, then frictional resistance comes. Okay, you all know what is friction. Friction is nothing but frictional force is mu into your normal force, that is mu into delta V. Okay, develop friction. So factor of safety is your frictional resistance by the forces causing the sliding. It has to be greater than 1, but it is in case of a low dam, because the friction resistance is provided only at the base of the dam and the foundation. But when it is a high dam, then we have to consider the horizontal joints which will provide additional bond strength or your average shear strength. So that is also considered, and in that case the factor of safety is called as the shear friction factor. So mu delta V BQ, because length we are taking 1 and B is the width of the dam and Q is the average shear strength of the joints. So apart from this, you can see that the base of the dam is stepped so that it will provide proper bond and there will be no sliding. Okay, so these are the precautions against failure. So I have already mentioned, to prevent overturning, we have to follow middle third rule, that is the resultant should be within the middle third portion of the dam, and then sliding should be resisted by no sliding condition, and then compressive stress should be within the allowable compressive strength of the material. There should be no tension anywhere. Okay, so these are the probable questions that may come in your exam. That is, what is a gravity dam, what are the various forces acting on the gravity dam, what are the various modes of failure, and write the precautions against the failure. If you have any queries or doubt, you can contact me through my WhatsApp or through my email ID. This is my WhatsApp and email ID. Thank you.
झीटीए तो माटी आम सामाजिक और पारिवारिक जीवनर मूल कथाटी से माने आगकू गले आगकू जीव संसार आम झील मैंने आ पुओंकठू पछरे नाहांती एबे तो बदली गलानी समय बदली गलानी जुग से झील माननकू आहुरी आगकू नहीं आत्मनिर्भरशील और स्वावलंबी करने ओडिशा सरकार सुदक्षा योजन सरकारी आईटीआई माध्यम संपूर्ण मागणार जोगई देउछंती सबु प्रकार उत्कृष्ट मानर वैषयिक ज्ञान कौशलर तालीम। एबे आम झियो रहिबे सबुठु आगरे सबुठु उपरे।
मु सफल मु कुशली मु सुदक्षा।